Please be seated. As Chancellor of the University, I declare this congregation open for the conferring of degrees by the authority of the Senate and of the Council.
Mr. Chancellor, parents, friends and graduands, as Vice-Chancellor of the University, I am delighted to welcome you all to this degree congregation. It is a celebration for all those who graduate today. We celebrate your many achievements that culminate in the award of a degree from a major international research and teaching-led university. All graduations are special, and this one is no exception. It is the first year that our Chancellor, Sir Peter Williams, has presided at our summer graduation ceremonies. Sir Peter has a distinguished record in the academic and business worlds and plays a major role in the interface between business and academic developments. We look forward to working with him and welcome him here today. We are very fortunate to have persuaded him to be our Chancellor. While you have been with us in the university, it has developed and changed. We are now a community of 19,000 students and 3,000 staff with a turnover of £172 million. It all demonstrates that universities are complex organisations. They are businesses with higher education at their heart. It is in these circumstances that higher education has gone on the public agenda and has quite properly become a topic of public interest. Here in Leicester, we are very proud of our achievements in this academic year. We have been invited to become a member of the prestigious 1994 group of 19 UK universities who are renowned for high-quality research, high-quality teaching, and a first-rate student experience. Last September, we were placed joint first in the National Student Survey for teaching quality and overall satisfaction among universities who teach full-time students. This was the largest independent survey ever conducted by government in the UK. I know that last January you will have been completing national student survey forms, and I'm rather hoping that I will look forward to seeing the results on the basis of your responses this September. I wait to see. In November of this year, our Students' Union was named Students' Union of the Year. It won the accolade on the basis of competition with 700 other student unions. I'm sure that those of you who are graduating today will know of the vast array of experiences that can be derived from the student union and which surely merits this award. And I can see, as ever, the reactions on faces suggest to me that you followed my advice that I always give to first-year students. Don't spend all your time working while you're at university. Have a rich portfolio of activity while you're here with us. In June of this year, we were placed in the top 20 UK universities in the Times League table. We were delighted to see that we gained this position, as the research evidence shows that among intending applicants and their parents, it is the Times League table that is consulted the most. Our position has improved during the time you've been with us, and we plan to go even higher. Indeed, think of it like this: the higher we are placed in league tables, the greater the value of your degree from the University of Leicester today. But what contributes to our league table position? First, the development of teaching. This year, Leicester has opened 3 centres of excellence in teaching and learning that were won in a national competition. These are in the fields of genetics education, geographical information systems, and physics education. This makes us one of only 16 universities awarded more than one of these innovative centres. The idea is to disseminate evidence derived from those 3 subjects across other disciplines in Leicester, and subsequently across the UK and internationally. Alongside the Centres of Excellence, we have also won a series of national teaching fellowships. In the last 3 years, we have had fellowships awarded to Dr. Derek Rain in physics, last year to Dr. Chris Wilmot in biochemistry, and this year to Professor Gilly Salmon in e-learning. As a leading teaching and research university, we see it essential to appoint leaders in their field. We have developed a new blood scheme for lecturers where we had 1,000 applicants competing for 20 posts. This group of appointments include people who are the research leaders of the future. Indeed, research is the lifeblood of any university and links effectively with the teaching that we do. In the Faculty of the Social Sciences, Labour Market Studies has been engaged in a series of major ESRC projects building on the work that was done in Leicester in the 1950s and 1960s by the greatly acclaimed sociologist Norbert Elias. And from that point of view, people who are here today are building on his work and developing further empirical studies. Meanwhile, other members of the sociology department have contributed to the development of social theory in wide-ranging fields, including the sociology of emotions. Meanwhile, in psychology, the D. Clin Sci course was re-accredited by the British Psychological Society for the next 5 years, a major achievement in its own right. But any university that intends to have leading-edge teaching and leading-edge research also needs to develop high-quality facilities for staff and students. Next September, we shall be opening a new student hall of residence with 581 study bedrooms here in Oadby. I'm sure that this will be much appreciated by the new first-year students who join us in the autumn. Secondly, we have on campus the largest building project in which the university has engaged since the 1960s. This is our project to double the size of the university library. The library is an essential part of the research and teaching infrastructure and constitutes a £27 million project. It will mean that printed material will now go alongside electronic material. We shall have what is known as a hybrid library, which takes forward a range of activity and will also incorporate study space for students. So again, I hope that by the middle of 2007, we should be in a position whereby the library project will be complete. Key developments have also taken place in a number of departments across the university. The Geography department has a new virtual reality suite. A new set of facilities have been made available for thermal and fluid engineering, and the laboratories in genetics are now all air-conditioned. All these facilities enhance the student experience in Leicester, and we are planning many more. But any international research and teaching-led university needs to make a contribution to the community in which it is located. In Leicester, this comes in many forms. Contact, a student volunteer organisation, has seen over 600 students volunteering this year to help with right-to-read schemes, holidays for disabled children, and a playgroup for special needs children that has been run by the Students' Union for over 30 years. In a recent celebratory event, one of the parents of the special needs children talked very clearly about the contribution this made to her life and the life of her daughter. She indicated that her daughter was always eager to come to the university every Sunday in order to participate in the playgroup. She herself found it helpful to meet with other parents. In that respect, it gave space in her life and that of her daughter. It empowered them, and from that point of view, it made a real contribution to changing their lives. In this sense, those of you who have volunteered while in university to engage with a whole range of organisations in Leicester and Leicestershire make a real contribution, and we are very proud of that contribution that you make. Our Centre for Disability and the Arts, named after Lord Attenborough, promotes dance, music and the visual arts through classes and public performances by international artists. This year has seen the arrival of a new director who is putting in place a dynamic new programme which will develop the work that that centre does, both for the university and for the region. And finally, by way of an example, our 5th International Sculpture Show in the Botanic Gardens opened 10 days ago and highlights the university's contribution to the arts. This exhibition celebrates the work of 7 artists who have each taken a lawn to display their work. This year we have printed a photograph from the exhibition on the front of the degree ceremony brochure, and I hope that this will persuade you to go and visit the exhibition before you leave Leicester. The exhibits themselves are very expensive, but the viewing of them is absolutely free. I do strongly recommend it, that is, both to visit the exhibition and, if you so desire to do so, to purchase items. Obviously, any university that is engaged in dynamic development needs to constantly plan and build new facilities and raise funds for them. Over the last 2 years, we have had in place a fundraising committee under the leadership of our Pro-Chancellor, Nicholas Cora. I'm delighted to be able to tell you that in the last 2 years, Nicholas Cora and his colleagues have raised over £10 million to contribute to the construction of the University Library, towards the development of a cardiovascular research institute which will be located in the grounds of the Glenfield Hospital and in turn will benefit not only members of the university doing fundamental research but also actually engage with the people in the region. And finally, we have a range of new research projects that are being funded courtesy of the money that has been raised. Our work in this area never stops. So if you know of organisations that you feel the University of Leicester should actually talk to about fundraising, please do drop me a note. If you wish it to remain anonymous, that is fine. If you wish to tick the box for maximum publicity, that also can be arranged, but we shall be very pleased to hear from you. It's building up relationships with a range of organisations that contribute to the development of a dynamic university where we have many plans for new research, new teaching programmes and new community links. This afternoon's degree ceremony is particularly pleasing for me. Many of you will know that I'm a sociologist, and looking around at the Honorary Graduates, both of whom are sociologists, it looks like sociology is taking over in the ceremony this afternoon. Well, we have to do something when we had a triumphant degree ceremony this morning with the medics here, and I'm sure that you will have an equally good time here with us this afternoon. I would like to close by congratulating you all on the degrees you have obtained. We hope that you will keep in touch with the university, and I shall look forward to meeting you at alumni events. But before I close, I would like to tell you about a competition I run every year. I always have to have something to keep us all occupied in degree ceremonies, besides all the formality up here. So we have this activity which is known as the Vice-Chancellor's competition. It's to see what transferable skills you've learnt while you've been in university. It's all very well getting your degree, but if you can't applaud longly and loudly, then you're really leaving the university without a key asset for the rest of your lives. Now, this week, the competition is pretty tough. It's clear that the arts faculty have been practicing. We suspect that the law faculty were tipped off yesterday afternoon because it looked to us as if they might even beat medicine. This morning, the medics looked as if I suspect they run a module on applause now in the medical curriculum. It is that good. But I'm very confident about the social sciences not letting me down. And this year, we've got an additional help because we've managed to get psychology into this degree ceremony. Normally, they're in with the medics, so it's no wonder the medics have won for the last 6 years. So I've got high hopes of this, and I'll just let you in on a secret that next year, if you don't win this year, then I'm combining the medical school with social science, because I think if we do that, and I get the Dean of Medicine on side, I think social science could win under those circumstances. So what I'd now like to do is to invite you to join me in showing your appreciation to your parents, relatives, friends and sponsors who have supported you through the university. So I would now ask the graduating class of 2006 to join me in a round of applause for all those people. Well, it's either social science has been in rehearsal or the psychologists are making a huge difference this year. Have a terrific afternoon, enjoy the day, and do applaud your fellow students, and most particularly, all good wishes to you in your future careers.
Degree congregations are, as the Vice-Chancellor has said, occasions when we celebrate the achievements of those graduating from this university. The graduands before me, by their own sterling efforts, have successfully completed courses of study here. We also, on these occasions, award 1 or 2 honorary degrees to prominent people in order, amongst other purposes, to inspire our graduands with the possibilities that lie in their futures. The career of Valerie Amos, now Baroness Amos, shows just how much can be achieved by someone with ability, dedication, and spirit. Valerie Amos was born in what was then the colony of British Guiana, where her father was a teacher. For the benefit of the geographically challenged, this country, which became independent in 1966 and is now the Republic of Guyana, lies on the northern coast of South America. It is noted chiefly for its export of that excellent Demerara sugar and as the home of that most elegant of batsmen, Rowan Canhai. Valerie Amos moved to this country with her family in 1963 and grew up in Kent. Education was a priority for that family, and Valerie gained a place at Townley Grammar School for Girls in Bexley Heath. She went from there to the University of Warwick, where she graduated in sociology, before our Vice-Chancellor was there, and the University of Birmingham, where she gained an MA in social studies. She also did research work at the University of East Anglia. Valerie Amos did not originally intend to take up a career in politics, although she had always had an activist streak which came to the fore during her student years, when she became a vocal advocate for social change. She found herself promoting change in many areas and left university with the belief that in order to effect that change, she had to be in a position where she could direct affairs. She therefore spent the years between 1981 and 1989 working for the London boroughs of Lambeth, Camden and Hackney. She worked in the crucial areas of management services and training, where direct influence for change could be brought to bear on the entire workforce. In 1989, Valerie Amos moved to the Equal Opportunities Commission as Chief Executive, a post she held until 1994. She subsequently set up her own consultancy company, Amos Fraser Bernard, of which she was a director until 1998. This is a consultancy for change, which deals with many issues in post-apartheid South Africa, including human rights, employment equity, and public service reform, dealing with government and other agencies. Throughout this period, she was also deputy chairman of the Runnymede Trust, the independent think tank on ethnicity and cultural diversity, which is engaged in high-visibility policy research. In addition, she was a director of the UCL Hospitals NHS Trust. She carried this heavy workload throughout the 1990s. With this experience, she has advised those who wish to follow her lead that it's a lot of hard work. If you really want to make a difference, the challenge can be onerous, with demanding hours late into the night, with your day job the next morning. Valerie Amos was given a life peerage in 1997, taking the title Baroness Amos of Brondesbury in the London Borough of Brent, where she has lived for many years. She was a whip and the government's spokesman on international development in the House of Lords from 1998 to 2001. This is, I suspect, a much trickier job than its equivalent in the House of Commons. A whip in the Lords can use only the arts of persuasion, of tact, and of charm. She can threaten recalcitrants with the loss of the party whip, but this has very little effect. It will not lead to the possible loss of their seat. This is one of the reasons why members of the House of Lords are much more independent, and many would argue much more useful, than the lobby fodder in the Commons. Clearly, Baroness Amos excelled in this difficult task, since in 2001 she was appointed Parliamentary Under-Secretary for Foreign and Commonwealth Affairs. In 2003, Baroness Amos became the first black woman to sit in the Cabinet when she was promoted to Secretary of State for International Development in succession to Claire Short. She held this post for only a few months before becoming leader of the House of Lords, still with a seat in the Cabinet. She became leader at a difficult time, with Lords reform still a problem and rebellions on health and crime issues looming from her independently minded members. She has had to apply her excellent management skills to aid the passage of difficult legislation through the House of Lords. She will no doubt continue to exercise these skills with her customary ability and dedication in the years to come. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and of the Council, I present Baroness Amos that you may confer on her the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws.
Madam I admit that the degree of Doctor of Laws, we welcome you along. Many congratulations. Please.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin by thanking the University for honouring me in this way today. I feel a very strong affinity with the City of Leicester and with the University. My links with the University go back to 1975, when my sister was a student here and I was a frequent visitor. In the words of the Vice-Chancellor, we did indeed experience a rich portfolio of activity, which I will not share with you as my parents are here this afternoon. But I can assure you that we had a lot of fun. My nephew has continued the family tradition and is now a student here. And I do have to correct one thing. The Vice-Chancellor, Professor Burgess, was indeed at Warwick when I was there. He had what I would call the unenviable task of trying to teach me applied statistics. I have to admit, and I'm sure that he knew, that it was not my favourite course. Leicester, the city, and the university is famous for its diversity and multiculturalism. These are issues we are grappling with as a nation and as a society, in terms of our identity and the nature of our Britishness. We were all shocked by the events a year ago in London, events which caused us to question the very nature of what we're about. The marginalisation and exclusion felt by some of our citizens. Events which happened a day after we won the Olympic bid on the basis of London's diversity. A day of celebration followed by a day of tragedy, the best followed by the worst. Yet there are so many ways in which the reality of our diversity is reflected in a much more positive way. During the recent World Cup, and let's not talk about the results, I saw flags flying on cars. On one side, the St. George's Cross. On the other, the Trinidadian flag, or maybe the Ghanaian flag. I saw a St. George's Cross and an Iranian flag, and indeed, a St. George's Cross and a Portuguese flag. Britons comfortable with their heritage. And that's what Leicester represents. Diversity at its best. I would like to congratulate the students who are graduating today, their family who have given support, and the university for their tremendous achievement. As someone who has worked all my life for equality and social justice, this honorary degree means a great deal to me, representing, as it does, the best of our society, the best of being British in a multi-heritage and a multi-faith society.
The graduands in the Faculty of the Social Sciences will be presented by the Dean, Professor Jackson. Will all graduands in the faculty please stand?
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of the Social Sciences to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Graduands of the Faculty of the Social Sciences, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to the several degrees for which you are presented.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Margaret Amokaheni.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, ma'am. Many congratulations. Very well done.
Pansy Mi Ying Lam.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Roy McCree.
I admit you to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Arts in Globalization and Communities, B.B. Wren.
Many congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Arts in Mass Communications, Wahad Ali.
Many congratulations.
Kera Kudjo.
Many congratulations.
Alan Delia.
Well done. Many congratulations.
Shan Fang.
Congratulations. Well done.
Paolo Goncalves.
Many congratulations.
Ji Jiang.
Many congratulations.
Patrice Logan.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Inke Maris.
Many congratulations.
Yan Po.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Danny Tuma Chaktura.
Well done, Danny. Congratulations.
Gregory Valaket.
Congratulations. Well done.
Patrick Woodward.
Congratulations, Patrick. Well done.
Tara Youssef.
Many congratulations. Well done.
He Jiang.
Congratulations, you too.
For the degree of Master of Science in Community Safety, Andy Johnson.
Well done, Andy. Congratulations.
Pamela Levy.
Many congratulations.
Keith McGrory.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Jane Mowat.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Eleanor Thompson.
Well done, Ellen. Congratulations.
Stephen Trigg.
Congratulations, Stephen.
For the degree of Master of Science in Criminal Justice, Bushra Akram.
Many congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Emergency Planning Management, Richard Emmett.
Congratulations, Richard. Well done.
Carol Keeley.
Many congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Forensic Investigation, Maria Parks.
Congratulations.
Jonathan Such.
Many congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Health and Safety Management, Ali Al-Shanfri.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Nicholas Dibble.
Congratulations, Nicholas. Well done.
Peter Gibney.
Congratulations, Peter.
Christopher Hibbert.
Well done, Christopher. Congratulations.
Chukwueme Mecca Ishihulo.
Many congratulations.
Christopher Marsh.
Well done, Christopher. Congratulations.
Brian McMahon.
Many congratulations.
John Middleton.
Well done, John.
Clive Mohammed.
Many congratulations.
Kerry Simpson.
Many congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Police Leadership and Management, Ian Bailey.
Congratulations, Ian.
Guy Collings.
Congratulations, Guy.
Andrew Goldston.
Well done, Andrew. Congratulations.
Simon Medjicks.
Congratulations, Simon.
Richard Sear.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Risk, Crisis and Disaster Management, Timothy Craig.
Congratulations.
Christy Drew.
Well done, Christopher. Congratulations.
Nigel Furlong.
Congratulations, Simon.
Matthew Hing.
Well done, Matthew.
Milos Hurdy,
Many congratulations.
Gareth Jones,
Congratulations, Mike.
Catherine Morris,
Congratulations, Matthew. Well done.
Jeffrey Parkinson,
Many congratulations.
Lisa Shee,
Many congratulations.
Gary Silver,
Congratulations.
Sheena Vivian.
Many congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Security and Organisational Risk Management, Hamid Al Kayat.
Many congratulations. Well done. Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Security and Risk Management, Stuart Brown.
Many congratulations.
Trevor Califato,
Congratulations.
Florian Hack,
Well done. Congratulations.
John Jacob,
Congratulations, Mike. Well done.
Stephen Shepherd,
Congratulations, Steve.
Peter Spate,
Well done, Peter. Congratulations.
Neil Taylor,
Many congratulations.
Erica Thorjorgensen,
Many congratulations.
Stephen Unwin,
Congratulations, Steve.
Paul Wright,
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Alexander Yebo.
Many congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Sociology of Sport, Matthew Greenwood,
Congratulations, Matthew. Well done.
Thomas Patikis.
Many congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Training and Human Resource Management, Patricia Breen,
Congratulations, Patricia. Well done.
Gerard Burke,
Many congratulations.
David Challenger,
Many congratulations.
Yuk
Well done.
Ting Cheng,
Congratulations. Well done.
Connie Cole,
Congratulations, Connie. Well done.
Bin Kim Dee,
Congratulations. Well done.
Carol Dingley,
Congratulations.
Susan Golding,
Many congratulations.
Rhonda He,
Many congratulations.
Paul King,
Congratulations. Well
Sharon Lowe,
done. Congratulations. Well done.
Hing Yi Mak,
Many congratulations.
George Mashangupa,
Many congratulations. Well done.
Donna Ung,
Congratulations.
Sean O'Day,
Well done, Sean. Congratulations.
Jonathan Skiberis,
Congratulations, Jonathan.
Anthony Shipley,
Well done, Anthony. Congratulations.
Jean Smoothie,
Many congratulations.
Annie
Well
Tang,
done. Many congratulations.
Jen Wang,
Many congratulations.
Kar Lam Yung,
Many congratulations.
Jo Hee Lim.
Many congratulations. Well done.
For the degree of Master of Science in Training and Performance Management, Julie Atkinson,
Well done, Julie. Congratulations.
Vincent Carabo,
Congratulations, Vincent.
Gerard Cassidy,
Congratulations, Gerard. Well done.
Alison Edwardson Gilchrist,
Congratulations. Well done.
Sharon Forbes,
Many congratulations.
Alexander Rima,
Well done, Alexander. Congratulations.
Poon Ting Ho,
Congratulations.
Ka Fee Lee,
Many congratulations.
Helen Palmer,
Well done, Helen. Congratulations.
Lee Stickley,
Congratulations.
Alisa Unra,
Congratulations, Lisa.
Bernadette Walsh.
Many congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Criminology, Rebecca Bailey.
Congratulations. Well done.
Sunita Bamra,
Many congratulations. Well done.
Zina Billingham,
Well done, Zina. Congratulations.
Laura Balderson,
Many congratulations. Well done.
Cheryl Bowden,
Congratulations.
Samantha Duncan,
Well done, Samantha. Congratulations.
Jenna Fears,
Many congratulations.
Stephanie Fitchett,
Congratulations, Stephanie.
Adam Flint,
Well done. Congratulations.
James Gill,
You got your fans. Yeah.
Janinda Hyrie,
Congratulations.
winner of the Scarman Prize, Claire Hill,
Well done, Claire. Many congratulations.
Simon Hopley,
Congratulations, Simon. Well done.
Christopher Hosmer,
Well done, Christopher. Congratulations.
Nisa Howard,
Many congratulations. Well done.
Peter House,
Well done, Peter. Congratulations.
Kiego Imamura,
Congratulations.
Christelle Kamola,
Many congratulations.
Mandeep Kaur,
Congratulations.
David Kirkman,
Congratulations. Well done.
Isabella Kikwezitz,
Congratulations, Isabella.
Terry Lamb,
Many congratulations.
Jonathan Lemon,
Congratulations, Jonathan. Well done.
Tammy Lewis,
Many congratulations.
Audrey Mather,
Congratulations. Well done.
John McAuliffe,
Well done, John. Congratulations.
Susanna Mitchell,
Congratulations, Sam. Well done.
Suzanne Mitchell,
Congratulations, Sam.
Naomi Newbury,
Congratulations, Mary.
Christopher Monk,
Well done, Christopher.
Huma Nouri,
Many congratulations.
Seema Patel,
Many congratulations. Well done.
Amar Perviz,
Congratulations, Emma.
Daniel Pittman,
Well done, Daniel. Congratulations.
Amir Purnasrolazada,
Congratulations, Daniel. Congratulations.
James Price,
Many congratulations. Well done.
Aisha Rashid,
Many congratulations.
Rebecca Reagan,
Congratulations. Well done.
Thomas Robinson,
Well done, Thomas. Congratulations.
Lee Shelvis,
Congratulations, Lee.
Kelly Sheridan,
Many congratulations.
Paul Towie,
Congratulations.
Anita Tiagi,
Congratulations, Anita.
Victoria Underdown,
Many congratulations.
Priya Vaja,
Many congratulations.
Lucy Warren,
Many congratulations.
Tracy Weston,
Many congratulations. Well done.
for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Sociology, Hajira Bibi,
Many congratulations.
Samantha Bird,
Well done, Samantha. Congratulations.
Ruth Cahill,
Many congratulations.
Charlotte Kahn,
Congratulations.
Rebecca Dickinson,
Well done, Rebecca. Congratulations.
Risna Garner,
Congratulations.
Helen Gilbert,
Congratulations.
Angela Hall,
Congratulations.
Caroline Hollowell,
Many congratulations.
Caroline Jenkinson.
Congratulations.
Sadia Khan.
Many congratulations.
Laura Mason.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Nisha Mehta.
Many congratulations.
Heather Meredith.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Sophie Moore.
Well done, Sophie. Congratulations.
Winner of the Sociology Best Performance Prize, the Dr. Rhys Powell Undergraduate Prize in Sociology, the Sociology Best Performance Prize, the Ilya Neustadt Prize and the Faculty Prize, Dinah Munian.
Just pause for a minute. Say hello.
Simon Newton.
Congratulations, Simon. Well done.
Catherine Owen.
Congratulations, Catherine. Well done.
Christine Oxborough.
Congratulations, Christine.
Jema Palmer.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Nina Palmer.
Congratulations.
Rochelle Phillips.
Many congratulations.
Catherine Pinheiro Torres.
Congratulations.
Kirsty Hope.
Congratulations, Kirsty.
Emma Prestige.
Congratulations.
Sonia Rehman.
Congratulations, Sonia.
Ghazala Sadiq.
Many congratulations.
Han Saglam.
Congratulations.
Faye Sidaway.
Many congratulations.
Emma Standen.
Many congratulations.
Haley Thomas.
Congratulations.
Giles Turton.
Congratulations, Giles. Well done.
Manish Verma.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Mark Walford.
Well done, Mark. Congratulations.
Eleanor Whittaker.
Many congratulations.
Kirsty Willison.
Many congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Sociology of Popular Culture, Fiona Cobb.
Congratulations, Fiona. Well done.
Rebecca Flower.
Congratulations, Rebecca.
James Harris.
Well done, James. Congratulations.
Sean Mulgrew.
Many congratulations.
Melissa Obi.
Well done, Melissa. Congratulations.
Winner of the Sociology Best Performance Prize, Catherine Rooms.
Congratulations, Catherine. Well done.
Adam Rowan.
Many congratulations.
Sophie Spooner.
Well done, Sophie. Congratulations.
Joanne Wheatley.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Communications and Society, Sana Asan.
Congratulations. Well done.
Kimberly Blood.
Many congratulations.
Rebecca Bonnie Doyle.
Congratulations, Rebecca. Well done.
Matthew Capon.
Congratulations. Well done.
Jessica Card.
Congratulations, Rebecca.
Joanna Goldsmith.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Caroline Higgs.
Congratulations, Caroline.
Robin Hopkinson.
Congratulations. Well done.
Shan Jones.
Congratulations.
Vince Lawson.
Many congratulations. Well done.
Fiona Lee.
Many congratulations.
Claire Ma.
Many congratulations.
Lara Manton.
Congratulations. Well done.
Winner of the Media and Communication Best BSc Level 3 Student Performance Prize, Katie Louise Morgan. Winner of the Media and Communication Best BSc Level 3 Student Performance Prize, Felice Puccino. Hannah Simmons. Winner of the Media and Communication Best BSc Dissertation Prize, Jenny Smith. Katie Swanson. Michael Turner. For Arts Foundation degree in Security and Risk Management, Stuart Anderson. Ben Ankra. Penny Derham. Alistair McFadgen. Mary Mon. Charles Mbweli. Christopher Odiakoze. Robert Powell. Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Laurie Taylor, as Robert Robinson used to tell radio listeners every Sunday evening in his introduction to Stop the Week, was Professor of Sociology at York University. We would much rather that Mr. Robinson had said that Laurie Taylor had trained as a sociologist at the University of Leicester, which has England's most distinguished department of sociology. Our department was one of the first in the country, and as Laurie Taylor rightly says, was the intellectual hothouse that produced some of the finest sociological thinkers of the last 50 years. Indeed, it was instrumental in shaping the discipline, and Laurie was one of many who benefited from its energy. Before coming to Leicester, Laurie Taylor trained as an actor and variously worked as a library assistant, a sales assistant, and indeed as a professional actor with Joan Littlewood's Theatre Workshop Company. He also studied in the evenings at Birkbeck College in London, where he took his first degree and is now visiting professor in the Department of Politics and Sociology. He worked first as an English teacher, and then in 1965 became a lecturer in sociology at the University of York. His chosen field was crime, but as a student rather than a practitioner. Academic criminology in the 1960s was dominated by Sir Leon Radzinovitz and his Cambridge Institute of Criminology. Laurie Taylor, the young upstart from the new University of York, presumed, with Stan Cohen and others of their persuasion, to create an alternative to traditional criminology by focusing on deviance in books such as Images of Deviance and Crime, Deviance and Socio-Legal Control. Laurie became interested in prisoners, and on that subject collaborated with the bank robber John McVicar and wrote books such as Escape Attempts and Prison Secrets. His profile as a new style of sociologist has encouraged readers of Malcolm Bradbury's novel The History Man to see in Laurie the prototype of the protagonist Howard Kirk. Fiction is never quite as simple as that, but the features that Laurie and Howard Kirk had in common included membership of the Trotskyist International Socialist Party. In addition to working as an upturner of criminological apple carts and modelling for Malcolm Bradbury's novel, Laurie lectured to students. And those lectures, which are cherished by generations of students, were informed by his background in acting. He would, for example, gradually raise his voice and then spin around with his back to the audience before turning slowly to the front and whispering his next words, which everyone in the room strained to hear. He is still a star turn as a lecturer. His convocation lecturer in this university produced the unlikely sight of the then Vice-Chancellor so crumpled up with laughter that he struggled to stand up to thank Laurie. At York, Laurie Taylor began his second career as a journalist. In radio, he began with Stop the Week and went on to programs such as the radio program, News Quiz, Speaking as an Expert, and Room for Improvement. This year, you can hear him on Radio 4 on Wednesday afternoons, presenting Thinking Aloud, ALLOWED, a program about social change in which the analytical skills of the trained sociologists are disguised by the skill of the actor, who persuades the audience that with a little concentration, complex issues can be readily understood. In recent years, he has started to work in television, where the subjects of his documentaries have included crime, drinking behavior, the purpose of education, the cult of celebrity, and last summer, death and dying. His next film will be an examination of apocalyptic ideas in religion and science, and will be screened on Channel 5 as A Very British Apocalypse. Somehow, he also finds time to write, sometimes in a comic vein, but sometimes more seriously, as in What Are Children For?, a contemporary history of parenting written in collaboration with his son Matthew. For those on the platform behind me, Laurie Taylor is best known for his long-running column on the back page of the Times Higher Education Supplement. For this column, Laurie has created characters such as Professor Lapping and Dr. Piercemuller, portraits from academic life that are as real and as recognizable as the characters in television soaps. This column has for decades served the dual function of preventing university staff from taking themselves too seriously and reminding successive governments of their shortcomings with respect to higher education. One of these columns, many years ago, contained rules of procedure for graduands on degree day. Graduands were, for example, ordered to declare their absence from the ceremony on the grounds that an absence, uninformed, could cause a shunting effect, whereby scores of graduates process across the platform being called by the wrong name. Graduates were also reminded that chancellors may be extremely elderly and unable to sustain prolonged handshaking. So Laurie suggests that graduands mime this part of the proceedings by placing the hand slightly to the right of the Chancellor's hand and moving it up and down twice in quick succession. As one of the problems of graduating students is that their parents may say something embarrassing to their tutors or to other students, Laurie explains that for degree day, a special holding pen has been designed for embarrassing parents. Finally, he turns to honorary graduates and announces that this year's honorary graduate will be Mr. Industrial Effluent, who is a generous friend of the university and should therefore be rapturously applauded when he receives his honorary degree. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of Senate and of Council, I present to you Lawrence John Taylor, that you may confer upon him the degree of Doctor of Letters.
Well, I'm literally to the degree of Doctor of Letters, and we welcome you among us. Congratulations, Laurie. Take a bow, please.
Chancellor and Vice-Chancellor, thank you very much indeed, and congratulations to you all. It is a tremendous achievement. I think it is very easy to say how well you have done and to have a round of applause, and to forget the days, the hard days when parents and partners and supporters and friends and relatives and everybody has had to join together to make the progress through your course, through your degree possible. It's something one can easily speed over, but I think now you can probably recollect those moments when you thought, I'm not going to make this, it's not going to come out, and others helped, and all those others who helped are here now. So I want to thank them very much. Now, actually, oddly enough, because you get nervous on these occasions, but I hadn't realized I was going to be surrounded by quite so many sociologists. I mean, I did know the Vice-Chancellor was a sociologist. If it's possible to combine the roles, I almost used to thinking back to the radical days of sociology, if you became a Vice-Chancellor, you couldn't possibly remain a sociologist. You'd have to resign from that function. But nowadays, sociology seems to be so universally accepted that it's possible to have those two roles. And also how wonderful to have Valerie Amos here with us, another sociologist, and I just feel at home. Usually amongst sociologists, don't you? I mean, you don't perhaps feel lonely as I'm just speaking to the sociologist for a second. You perhaps don't feel so lonely as I did, but in the old days, jokes about sociologists. It was very, very difficult to be a sociologist. Everywhere you went, people came up to you and had silly jokes they wanted to tell you. You know, they stupid things about, how many sociologists does it take to change a light bulb? None. It isn't the light bulb which needs changing, it's the system. I used to get bored to death with those jokes, and then do you remember? And do you remember that they used to confuse you, always confusing sociologists with social workers? I used to get those jokes. How many social workers does it take to change a light bulb? None. That you'll need to get 12 to sit around a table and write a working paper called Coping with Darkness. Do you remember those sorts of things? Yeah. Anyway, so for a time, I decided I needed to make a bit more money than you get in university teaching. Everybody needs to make a bit more money than you get for university teaching. And I went to see, I decided I would become, that is called playing to the gallery, isn't it? That really is. But I can remember I suddenly decided I would go and see some business people, and I'd be a consultant, and I'd go and get vast sums of money, and I'd have a big car, and I'd drive around, And I remember going to see them, and they'd only invited me in to be a consultant so they could laugh at me. Nobody ever asked me really for any consultancy. They just used to say, here's a sociologist. What do you get if you cross a sociologist with a member of the mafia, an offer you can't understand? And I used to think, oh no, not anymore. They never, I can remember once, but I began to give talks. I didn't really know what I was talking about, but I used to wave my arms around a lot and talk about change, motivation, leadership, and the way ahead. And I sort of, somehow I got paid for doing this, and I thought, this is great. And then I can remember, still no one asked me about sociology, and I can remember one of my big talks, it was about 15 years ago. I was in the Prince Rainier Auditorium in Monte Carlo, and I was talking to IBM about motivation, change, leadership, and the way ahead. And almost immediately after that, IBM completely collapsed. Nothing to do with me. My talk went reasonably well. People were leaving while I was talking, but they weren't running. And at the end of it, at the end of it, I remember we were sitting around a table, and this man who was from Scandinavian IBM, he said, what you were saying was very interesting. He said, tell me what exactly is sociology. So I thought, at last, someone's asked me a serious question about... So I explained that sociology, roughly speaking, was a discipline which arose in the 19th century and was particularly concerned with the way we've moved away from a closed, coherent Gemeinschaft type of society towards a 20th and 21st century characterized by much more variegated and diffuse relationships, a sort of Gesellschaft type of society in which there are often serious disjunctions which existed between the material infrastructure and the cultural superstructure, which eventuated in varying degrees of alienation and anomie. And he took his hand away from his mouth, and he was smiling. He said, that's very interesting, he said. I always thought sociologists were people who went to strip clubs and looked at the audience. Anyway, so I have to be quick, because we've only got 3 minutes. It's quite a long time in radio. Thank you very much for mentioning the radio programme. We need everyone to mention it. It's the only radio programme on the air which has a listening figure of -2. Not only does nobody listen to it, but 2 people who haven't heard it go around criticising it. Anyway, And in fact, actually, 5 weeks ago, I had a letter from a University of Leicester student who I taught when I was here, when I was a mature sort of postgraduate here, and I did some seminars, and he wrote to me and said, "You won't remember me, I was a student of yours, and I remember you. And you used to take seminars and talk all the time through them. You just talk. We never had a chance to say anything at all. You loved the sound of your own voice so much, you went on. And now you're on the bloody radio going on and on. He said, and the other day on the radio, you said, "I'm glad to be here." He said, "I should think at your age you must be glad to be anywhere," so... Anyway, yes, now, I did describe my time at Leicester as an intellectual hothouse. I mean, it is a cliche, I know, but it was very difficult to just say anything else, but it was a time that did change my life. I mean, how else to describe my year among a group of brilliant sociologists? I mean, to have people like Tony Giddens sitting around, sitting and asking you to have a chat with him and talk about the way in which sociology might develop. I mean, I helped Tony along. He wouldn't have got there without me, really. But anyway, a time when I had nearly every idea that I had about the nature of the world, of the social world, was challenged and often overturned. We had day after day and night after night of fierce argument and debate. This was an extraordinary year. I mean, I had a fight, a real fist fight, people being thrown to the floor with one person who disagreed with me about whether or not structural functionalism had a theory of change. We actually fought. He said, "Yes, it has." And I said, "No, it bloody hasn't." Fighting about a theory? Yes, that's what we did. Now, nothing since then has been quite like it. When I came to teach in an actual university, I found that life was rather often blotted out by the routines of teaching and administration. I mean, in senior common rooms, talk was more likely to be about car parking spaces and the best time to pot geraniums than ontology or epistemology. I can remember arriving there. The funny thing about arriving at university, I just popped this in for any second. Have I got to say, yeah, I only popped this in, but I remember arriving there, and the funny thing was that all this time at Leicester, because I went to Birkbeck, it was like sort of a bit like good night school, nice night school, being a bit like night school. And all the time when I was here at Leicester, we hardly had any teaching. We were so busy arguing in seminars, just arguing. I remember when I got there, I got the job. I had no idea, really. I mean, that was the time. It was the late 60s, and everyone could get a job in sociology. They were so short of sociologists. There's me notes thrown away. There was so short of sociologists, blown away. There was so short of sociologists that people who came to fix the central heating were getting senior lectureships. Now, I was the only person. I remember I was the only person who applied for my job. Shortlisted one, just me, the only applicant, except for the news agent. I happened to mention it to him, and he said, "I think I'll have a shot at that as well," But anyway, I remember I got the job, and I didn't know what you did. I had no idea what you did. They said, "Right, you're a lecturer." And I sat in my room, and I sat there for about 2 months, looking out the window at York. Lovely lake, nothing. And then I remember one day, my mate Andy came in. He said, "You all right?" I said, "Well, yeah, I quite like the job, really, to tell you the truth." He said, "Have you been doing anything?" I said, "Well, what do you do?" He said, "Have you thought about a bit of teaching?" I said, "Oh, I don't know about that." I said, "Is that what you do?" He said, "Yeah, do some teaching." "Oh," I said, "what?" He said, "Well, how many hours a week would you like to do?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, really." I said, 4. He said, 4? That's twice the departmental average. It's not like that now, but I had no idea what you did about teaching at all. I mean, the only 2 teachers I'd had at Birkbeck, one, because I did psychology at Birkbeck, so, just a big psycho. I remember, I was going to learn about human beings, but all we did then was wrapped up mazes, and the main lecturer, one man we had there was lecturing, he was a lecturer, Professor Zangwood, you may have heard of him. He was an expert in short-term memory. He devoted 35 years of his life to studying short-term memory, and he couldn't remember his own name. No. He'd go up to him, he'd walk along the corridor, and he'd come up to you and he'd go, "Name," and he wasn't asking you your name, he was asking you to tell him his name. Now, he was so terrible, he hated lecturing so much. Have you seen these sorts of lecturers? You may have done. That he used to conceal himself behind the lectern. You could hardly see him. He was staring forward. You could just about see the top of his head. I remember going in one night and looking just for a lecture in the evening, and he completely disappeared. He was just sitting right down, and all he could hear was... And I remember turning to my friend Dennis, who was sitting next to me. I said, what do you think he's doing down there? He said, I think the bugger's trying to tunnel his way out. You know, it's just so... And I can remember we had another lecturer, and some of you may have read his book, called Professor Ronald Fletcher. He wrote The Family and Marriage, Ron, the Family Man. And Ron had whereas Zangwill hid himself away, Ron Fletcher had an astronomical style of lecturing. He'd put all the societies in the history of the world up above his head like planets. He'd talk about Oriental despotism, Greek and Roman societies, feudalism, pre-industrial societies, industrial societies, post-industrial societies. Then down below, he'd put all the institutions relating to those societies: family, law, marriage, state, religion. And as he spoke, so his arms would weave these incredibly complicated trajectories as he linked certain aspects of marriage in pre-industrial societies to the way in which marriage had been handled in Oriental despotisms. It was extraordinary. We used to sort of like watch him in an almost Wimbledonian fashion, you know. I only ever saw him disconcerted once. Somebody opened the door suddenly to his right, and he went like that, and the voice at the back said, Christ, he's just dropped feudalism. Anyway, so no, let me come back to Leicester quickly, because put my notes in order. No. But one thing stayed with me from those days at Leicester: the sheer excitement of difference, the sheer vertiginous thrill of having my taken for granted common sense stability undermined and overthrown. And the lesson it taught me in life, what a long cliched thing, sounds like a headmaster's speech, but I can't think of any other phrase. The lesson it taught me in life was to always seek out those people who are disturbing and even a bit dangerous, to shy away from those who are comfortable and safe. Most of all from people like myself. God, could there be anything more tedious than to spend your life with people who share your interests and passions? You know those adverts, vegetarian, non-smoking, Sagittarian, liberal Democrat, wishes to meet similar. Oh, God! And you know, and all those dull people, those dull people who won't argue. I love arguments, love debates. Go and find people you disagree with and argue with. Those people who say, I'm sorry, it's what I believe. It's like people, how they used to hang on to their virginity some days. They hang on to their beliefs. No debate. Of course, ordinary life easily creeps up on you, settles you back into an armchair of convention. But thanks to Leicester, I always remember, genuinely remember there can be something better, that the world is always less simple than we think, that there's always a unique delight to be found in difference and diversity, in what the poet Louis Macnice magnificently called the drunkenness of things being various. I can only hope that your time at Leicester has at least occasionally given you a real sense of intellectual excitement. And if so, don't ever let it go, because life isn't much without it. I thank you, Leicester. I thank you for this honour. I, for one, will never forget you. Thank you.
Follow that. The graduands in the Faculty of Medicine and Biological Sciences will be presented by the Dean, Professor Laurie. Will all graduands in the faculty please stand?
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of Medicine and Biological Sciences to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Graduates of the Faculty of Medicine and Biological Sciences, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to the several degrees for which you are presented.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Shabir Rana.
Congratulations. I've reached the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Many congratulations, well done.
For the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology, Kate Doherty.
I've reached the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations.
Justine Hardy.
I've reached the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations.
Claire Hemming.
I've reached the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Applied Forensic Psychology, Geraldine Boardman.
I've reached the degree of Doctor of Clinical Psychology. Congratulations.
Karen Hooks.
I've reached the degree of Doctor
Mara O'Reilly.
Congratulations.
Sabrina Parker.
Congratulations.
Philip Quinn.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Forensic and Legal Psychology, Austin Roark.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Science in Occupational Psychology, Louise Jones.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Psychology, Amy Adams.
Congratulations.
Pooja Adiharu.
Congratulations.
Joe Aldous.
Congratulations.
Susan Alderson.
Congratulations.
Katerina Antonatus.
Congratulations.
Jessica Bailey.
Congratulations.
Winner of the Slukin Prize, Michael Baliusis.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Barlow.
Congratulations.
Lucy Bavington.
Congratulations.
Claire Benjamin.
Congratulations.
Zainab Baruki.
Congratulations.
Hussein Bawani.
Congratulations.
Hannah Bishop.
Congratulations.
Kate Bostwick.
Congratulations.
Gavin Brooker.
Congratulations.
Laura Brown.
Congratulations.
Joanne Bunting.
Congratulations.
Rowan Cameron.
Congratulations.
Donna Cartmill.
Congratulations.
Nicola Cordwell.
Congratulations.
Mayura Chaudhary.
Congratulations.
Hasina Chunara.
Congratulations.
Sarah Coffey.
Congratulations.
Helena Cole.
Congratulations.
Natalie Cole. Samantha Cottrell.
Congratulations.
Mark Crittenden.
Congratulations.
Jamie Cunningham.
Congratulations.
Holly Deacon.
Congratulations.
Jemmy Dobbs.
Congratulations.
Amy Doherty.
Congratulations.
Lucy Draper.
Congratulations.
Samantha Draper.
Congratulations.
Kate Erie.
Congratulations.
Julia Echeverria.
Congratulations.
Laura Evans.
Congratulations.
Marianne Fellows.
Congratulations.
Claire Fuchs.
Congratulations.
Chloe Foster. James Gallanders.
Congratulations.
Deborah Gamble.
Congratulations.
Sarah Gibbons.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Gill.
Congratulations.
Eleanor Gilroy.
Congratulations.
Fahana Girak.
Congratulations.
Jodie Goddard.
Congratulations.
Rachel Gom.
Congratulations.
The winner of the Peace Cotton Prize, Rena Govinji.
Congratulations and well done on your prize.
Barry Graves,
Congratulations.
Alice Gregson,
Congratulations.
Lawrence Griffiths,
Congratulations.
Robin Hancock,
Congratulations.
Laura Harrower,
Congratulations.
Rena Hill,
Congratulations.
Malti Hirani,
Congratulations.
Nikki Holland,
Congratulations.
Ben Holmes,
Congratulations.
Thomas Houston,
Congratulations.
Daniel Hughes,
Congratulations.
Sophia Hussain,
Congratulations.
Siobhan Irving,
Congratulations.
Elaine Jakeman,
Congratulations.
Amy Jenkins,
Congratulations.
Beata Castiak,
Congratulations.
Charlotte Koch,
Congratulations.
Victoria Kyle,
Congratulations.
Joanne Lancel,
Congratulations.
Claire Lewis,
Congratulations.
Justin Lee,
Congratulations.
Emma Lomas Clark,
Congratulations.
Rebecca Lucas,
Congratulations.
Amanda Lukeman,
Congratulations.
Ruth Matthew,
Congratulations.
Jessica McVitie,
Congratulations.
Paul Merriman,
Congratulations.
Hee Young Min,
Congratulations.
Alice Nettle Ingham,
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Newton,
Congratulations.
Jyoti Odedra,
Congratulations.
Natalie Osadziu,
Congratulations. Thank you.
Claire Osborne,
Congratulations.
Kimberly O'Sullivan,
Congratulations.
Anup Padhia,
Congratulations.
Joanne Page,
Congratulations.
Shahabi Patel.
Congratulations.
The winner of the Faculty Prize and the Slukin Prize, Claire Peel.
Congratulations and very well done on your prizes.
Claire Pike,
Congratulations.
Lisa Plaskett,
Congratulations.
Adam Pridmore,
Congratulations.
Tanya Proud,
Congratulations.
Anwin Pugh,
Congratulations.
Emma Rawlinson,
Congratulations. Well done.
Jenna Reedy,
Congratulations.
Kerry Roberts,
Congratulations.
Krishna Ruparel,
Congratulations.
winner of the Slukin Prize, Alexandra Sawyer,
Congratulations and well done on your prize.
Emily Scott,
Congratulations.
Matthew Shawcross,
Congratulations.
Ashley Simpson,
Congratulations.
Ian Sutton,
Congratulations.
Gemma Swales,
Congratulations.
Laura Sweeney,
Congratulations.
Dipta Thacker,
Congratulations.
Laura Thomas,
Congratulations.
Jennifer Thomas Whittington,
Congratulations.
Zoe Tomaszczewski,
Congratulations.
Matthew Tonkin,
Congratulations.
Sharma Vindhani,
Congratulations.
Veronica Volavka,
Congratulations.
Rachel Walker,
Congratulations.
Sarah Walker,
Congratulations.
Elaine Walsh,
Congratulations.
Amelia Watts,
Congratulations.
Laura Webb.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Lydia White.
Congratulations.
William Whitehouse.
Congratulations.
Joanne Whiting.
Congratulations.
Holly Wilde.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Psychology with Biology, Kiran Bansal.
Congratulations.
Emma Broom.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Cole.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Sarah Flannery.
Congratulations.
Laura Hall.
Congratulations.
Maheshika Karunaratne.
Congratulations.
Emma Kelly.
Congratulations.
Carmen Lee.
Congratulations.
Laurie McShea.
Congratulations.
Viviano Nacilo Gonzalez.
Congratulations.
Amanda Pike.
Congratulations.
Mumtaz Rankwala.
Congratulations.
Susanna Venn.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Psychology with Neuroscience, Gobinath Amirathalingam.
Congratulations.
Stephanie Andrews.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Bell.
Congratulations.
Claire Birchenough.
Congratulations.
Eleanor Bond.
Congratulations.
Nicole Burnham.
Congratulations.
Connor Dines.
Congratulations.
Christine Hammond.
Congratulations.
Kerry Hudson.
Congratulations.
Laura Hunter.
Congratulations.
Claire Medhurst.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Roberts.
Congratulations.
Jack White.
Congratulations.
Bryony Winters.
Congratulations. Thank you.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Psychology with Sociology, David Barter.
Congratulations.
Nicole Bond. Holly Bradley.
Congratulations.
Catherine Broadbent.
Congratulations.
Amy Bromley.
Congratulations.
Anna Coltman.
Congratulations.
Max Davies.
Congratulations.
Joanna Dickey.
Congratulations.
Katie Fiander.
Congratulations.
Catherine Fielding.
Congratulations.
Flora Fortelius Mooring.
Congratulations.
Amreen Ghaffar.
Congratulations.
Adele Green.
Congratulations.
Ruan Hayden.
Congratulations.
Alice Ho.
Congratulations.
Edmund Hockley.
Congratulations.
Sarah Holden.
Congratulations.
Asif Iqbal.
Congratulations.
Sadia Iqbal.
Congratulations.
Claire Kirkwood.
Congratulations.
Daniel Lee Polton.
Congratulations.
Wang Kit Louie.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Davisha Mavani.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Rosemin Mitha.
Congratulations.
Robert Morgan.
Congratulations.
Victoria Neal.
Congratulations.
Gemma Pike.
Congratulations.
Amina Ravat.
Congratulations.
Helen Rawlings.
Congratulations.
Sarah Redfern.
Congratulations.
Penelope Reed.
Congratulations.
Laura Scully.
Congratulations.
Mark Sidney.
Congratulations.
Richard Stringer.
Congratulations.
Diana Tsolova.
Congratulations.
Hannah Watts,
Congratulations.
Ungiari Williamson,
Congratulations. Well done.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I think it was Laurence Olivier who offered some very sound advice to a fellow actor one year. Never, he said, never act with children or animals. You may wonder why I start with that aphorism. Well, I'd like to offer advice to any chancellors here today. Never follow Laurie Taylor. Seriously, if I can begin by commenting that one of the great privileges as Chancellor of a great university such as Leicester, on occasions such as this, is welcoming into our midst distinguished individuals whom we honour and who in turn honour us with their acceptance of our degrees. And I'd like to offer my personal warm congratulations to Valerie Amos and Laurie Taylor and welcome you once again to the University of Leicester. Of course, today is very much your day. Graduands as you walked into this hall, graduates of the University of Leicester as you walk out. Something that you and your families and friends and supporters can feel immensely proud about. Something that you will take with you for the rest of your days. And as your Chancellor, I congratulate you on your achievement and indeed on all the hard work and effort you put in to get to this day. Now, as a physicist, you might imagine, coming into a lion's den of sociologists and psychologists, I felt some temerity. I have, however, been treated to a discourse, as we all have. I think perhaps, Laurie, I almost understand sociologists a little bit better than I did at 3 o'clock this afternoon, and I'm immensely grateful to you for that. But above all, you represent a very diverse group of disciplines. And I think it's fitting and interesting that we have moved from the Faculty of the Social Sciences to the Faculty of Medicine and the Biological Sciences. I spent quite some time in my career making devices for diagnostic imaging in clinical medicine. So I was fascinated to see a group of you coming forward with psychology and neuromedicine as your speciality. It is fascinating to think that today you can slide into one of my body scanners, be played Mozart or rock, and your brain will react in manners which can be described and explained by a scientist. A frightening concept, Laurie, for a sociologist. I think you'd agree. I was also struck by the diversity of talent and what you will do with your careers as you leave here. For those of you with degrees in risk, crisis, and disaster management, the England football team awaits you. Whatever you do, however, I think you'll rapidly find, as you enter this wonderful thing called the wider world, that the distinctions between your specialist disciplines here at university and your tasks and your roles in your careers will rapidly blur. You'll begin to work in a team with others of different disciplines. Teams are important things in life, the way people operate together. Teams such as this one here today. And could I just make a special mention of a group of you I know are in the audience in various disciplines, those of you who have been pursuing a full-time career alongside your studies as a distance learning student of Leicester University. You deserve our special praise today, and I hope you feel, and indeed have always felt, very, very much as much a part of Team Leicester as anybody else here today, this afternoon. So, you rapidly enter, after 24 hours of celebration or so, the wider world. What I hope you've taken with you, psychologists, sociologists, criminologists, any discipline, is an ability to think and to reason. I also hope that you have picked up and acquired another skill which is all too rare in this frenetic modern life of ours, the ability to listen. Here at Leicester, you've had the privilege of working in a diverse community of people from all over the world working on many, many different disciplines and subjects. I hope that that has enabled you to go away with a better understanding of each other and a better respect and appreciation for our very different cultures and personalities amongst all of us. Only by such mutual understanding on the part of all of us will we see an end to the conflicts that have dogged the world in my generation. This has not been a good week, as you think you'll all agree with me, for events around the world. But as I look out at the young faces and those with the skills and understandings I've been describing to you just now, I feel that perhaps your generation will have the solutions to these conflicts with a way that ours have failed. I'm confident in you. All of us in the faculty, my friends and colleagues here who have taught you for the last 3 years or so, have immense interest in what you now do. Your success will reflect on us. Your achievements will be a source of continuing pleasure from now for the rest of your days. So I'd like to finish where the Vice-Chancellor also finished, with congratulating all of you once again, with wishing you a long and happy and successful career, and congratulating you on becoming a graduate of the University of Leicester. Thank you.
Well, we've now reached the end, or virtually the end, of the summer degree ceremonies. Now, one person is always in overall responsibility for this event, and that person is called the Registrar and Secretary of the University. And I suspect at this minute he's a bit concerned because this bit doesn't feature in the proceedings at all. And the reason for that is that I want to briefly talk about the Registrar and Secretary, Keith Julian, who retires at the end of July, having been Registrar in this university for 13 years and having served the university for 34 years in a variety of different roles. I suspect that one of the questions people often ask is, well, what is a Registrar and Secretary, and what does a Registrar and Secretary do? So I thought I would give my account of it this afternoon. I should have borrowed Laurie Taylor for this, it'd be much better. First of all, for those of you in business, the Registrar and Secretary is equivalent to the Company Secretary. Keith himself always describes the Registrar and Secretary as head of the civil service in the university. I always think this is very appropriate because as civil servants and as a civil servant, he clearly is a major participant in the policy-making process. But rather like all good civil servants, in my view, Keith's is the hidden hand, coaxing, developing, encouraging, pushing the university forward in a whole range of different ways and making sure that university business is conducted very effectively. But one area of the university that we would all say, no matter how long we've been in the University of Leicester, that is Keith's and Keith's alone, is in fact the area of distance learning. Distance learning now constitutes 1/3 of the student body, so 1/3 of our 19,000 students work with us by distance, and since its inception in 1991 has generated £120 million for the university. And I know that my colleagues and many others, particularly those who've engaged in distance learning, have a lot to thank Keith Julian for in terms of making this a really key development in the university, and we thank you very much indeed for that. Now, registrars also have many other duties. A key duty is to make sure that every Monday morning when the Vice-Chancellor arrives in with yet another set of loony ideas, they never say that, but they say it very politely, say, oh, I don't know, Vice-Chancellor, not this week, I don't think we should do this. What they really mean is, that's a loony idea and you shouldn't do it. And in that sense, what registrars are intended to do is to pull Vice-Chancellors back from their great excesses and their loony ideas. And I can say that Keith does that really effectively. But can I say, Keith, on a personal note, thank you very much indeed for all the support you have given me in the 7 years that I've been in the University of Leicester. Working with you has been a pleasure, and thank you for all the support you've given me, and also most particularly the support you've given the University of Leicester. But in turn, registrars may think they pull Vice-Chancellors back from loony ideas. What Vice-Chancellors really like is to watch the entertainment when one registrar meets another. And I've had the privilege of this, watching our registrar with another registrar, and they talk in a special language. As soon as one proposal is made, they say, oh no, it's not in our regulations, you can't do that. You should look at my ordinances and statutes. You can't possibly do that in my university. And I've seen this game played out, used very effectively to the advantage of the University of Leicester and to make sure that the University of Leicester wins out in other contexts. It's a great pleasure and a great piece of theatre to watch this in operation. Finally, it is a great testimony to Keith Julian's skills, his loyalty, his commitment, and his unswerving support for the university and its students that this summer the Students' Union decided that it would make him an honorary vice president, a role that I know a number of us were delighted that they decided to give him, and on which we would certainly wish to congratulate him. But in turn, the university has decided next January that we're going to invite him back to a degree ceremony, not to do anything particular other than to accept his own University of Leicester degree, because we should be delighted to be awarding him an honorary Doctor of Laws degree, which is very well deserved for his major contribution to the university. Certainly, Keith, we wish you a very long and a very happy retirement. I find it hard to stand here and use the word retirement because I don't know what the appropriate word is, but retirement is one of the words that cover all the eventualities. And it just remains for me to ask everyone in the hall today, and in particular the graduating class of 2006, to join me in a round of applause for Keith Julian on behalf of all students of the University of Leicester with whom he's been associated.
I now declare this congregation closed.